really amazing to get to see him again. And we're still texting and talking about how excited we are for this year and potentially maybe be in the same team and play together again. That'd be really cool.
Welcome to episode 209 of Alberta Dugout Stories, the podcast. I'm Joe McFarland. They were once roommates at Vauxhall Academy, and now there's a chance Adam Macko and Damiano Palmigiani might start the 2023 baseball season on the same team again. After being drafted by the Seattle Mariners in 2019, Macko was involved in the high-profile Teoscar Hernandez trade with Toronto, where Palmigiani has been since the Blue Jays drafted him in 2021. Both have high hopes of themselves and each other as they look to climb the ladder in the Jays organization. To kick off the 2023 season of the podcast, we bring you conversations with both players, starting with Macko, who was last with us on episode 74. He spent most of last season with the High A Everett Aquasox, going 0-2 with a 3.99 ERA and 60 strikeouts in 8 starts. Adam, thanks so much for joining us here on the podcast.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. I'm very excited.
Phone rested up yet after what's probably been a quite a busy last few months here?
Yeah, no, for sure. It's been a hectic couple of months, but it's all good things. Obviously, very excited to be a Blue Jay. I made my kind of goodbyes with the Mariners. It was very emotional at some parts, but I'm excited for the next step, and things are definitely starting to calm down a little bit before I get going in spring training again.
Take us back to the day you were traded. What were you doing? Who calls you? Walk us through sort of the process leading into that conversation.
Yeah, it was a funny story, actually. I was sleeping in the 7 a.m. or something like that, and I get a call from California, I believe it was, or something like that. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's got to be a scam. I didn't really know the number. So I just let it ring out. And then later I get a text message, and it was from Andy McKay. He texted me, he said, "Hey Adam, it's Andy. Call me ASAP," or something like that. And I was like, something is going on. I didn't really ever get phone calls from Andy. I'm sure that we've definitely talked quite a bit, but not usually over the phone. So I knew that there was something that was off. So as soon as I called him, he kind of broke it down for me and said that there was a trade offer that they couldn't deny, and that they wanted to take. And unfortunately, that it has been me, and he told me that I've been traded to the Toronto Blue Jays and that he wished me the best. And I've always had a really great relationship with everybody with the Mariners, whether it was the staff or the players. So and they acknowledged that, and they know that it was going to be hard for me, but they told me that Andy told me I have a bright future ahead of me, and try to wish me the best, and I really appreciate that. And so after he kind of told me and who's involved in the trade and stuff like that, I got off the phone. Then he said that the news can go out. So the news was kind of broken. I got a call from Ross Atkins. He has obviously welcomed me to the Blue Jays. It was quite surreal. The Blue Jays were the first team, I guess, obviously coming from Canada, that I was following pretty religiously and watching the games. And usually I'm a guy that talks about being a player type of guy, I guess, not really a team. But with the Blue Jays, it was I guess different with the fact that I really was interested in the whole team and kind of followed them in around 2013, 14, right around that time. And so it was really surreal to get a call from him and to kind of congratulate me and to welcome me into the team.
Mm-hmm. Were you surprised at all, given the fact that, and you and I talked about this off air, is this is a team, the Mariners, who made a bunch of trades heading into the trade deadline last season. Your name stayed off of the trade wire, and there was sort of an expectation, at least from the outside, that, hey, you were one of the guys that was going to stick around a while. Were you surprised at how things kind of changed and the trajectory changed as the winter went on?
Yeah, it was a little bit surprising, like you said, especially based on the fact that there was a lot of players traded that the Mariners have valued very highly. One of those being Brandon Williamson, who's another lefty that I had kind of looked up to going through the minor leagues, and so once he was traded, that kind of had maybe opened up some doors for me and have maybe given me a little bit more of a chance to be where I wanted to be sooner, and maybe that showed a little bit of trust in me from the Mariners as well. So I kind of took that, and I was ready. I was ready to do whatever they needed me to do, and I was excited for the potential opportunities that were coming up. But it definitely was a little bit of a surprise once I got traded.
When you think back on it, you talked about how you got the phone call from Seattle, then you get the phone call from the Blue Jays. Who do you call first? Who's the first person that you want to tell in person, hey, guess what's happened?
The first people that I called were my parents and my family. It was I couldn't get a hold of them both at once. My dad was at work, my mom was at work, so I called my dad. I called my mom right after, and it was a very quick conversation because that at that point stuff kind of started rolling for me, and I started to get phone calls and congratulation texts and messages, and I had kind of had to pay a little bit of attention to what random numbers were calling me because they were likely from the Blue Jays, and so it was a quick call with them right after. But after a couple of hours, when things maybe started to settle down a little bit, I called with them for a longer period of time once they got home from work and stuff like that, and we had a good chat. So it was foreign to me. It was a little bit scary to be traded. I didn't really know what to expect, but after talking with them and talking with my friends and my girlfriend and her family, it's I knew it was a good sign for me. It was just a little bit hard to see it initially at that point, but as soon as I got down to Florida for a camp for a couple of days and kind of got my feet wet and talked to the staff and talked to everybody, I started to get the exact same vibes as the Mariners. It's very laid back but professional. Everybody's joking around with each other. It's more of like they named it a family dynamic, which I would definitely agree with. Everybody's very, very friendly and welcoming to me. So I'm at this point, I'm very excited to be a part of the Jays.
Did you make any phone calls back to Vauxhall?
I did, yes. Actually, Coach Mac beat me to it. He called me right. Honestly, it might have been before I got to call my parents. So I had to tell him like, hey, can I call you in a little bit? So I called my parents, and then actually I did make that phone call to him right after that, and we talked about that a little bit as well. And he obviously assured me that it is a good thing and that exciting things are coming my way, and I always appreciate talking with him. He's always a great person to talk to and bounce ideas off of, just because he understands how this whole world works. So yeah, I'm very fortunate to have a lot of people around me that care and that follow my journey and that reach out to me when these things happen. And it just that whole day, I just was really grateful for everything. Really, it was my friends reaching out and seeing that they're staying updated on me, and my my coaches, my teammates that I've played with before, family members, other families, family members. It was really amazing.
One of the first pictures that comes out in the days afterwards happens to be with another Vauxhall grad in Damiano, and I'm curious what was it like getting to meet up with him again and kind of talk about what's gone on over the last, not just the last couple of months here, but obviously over the last few years since the two of you have turned pro.
Yeah, it's me and Damiano were actually roommates in Vauxhall for quite a bit of time,
Oh, no way.
so I know him quite well. So it was really exciting. That's one of the first things that I thought of when I learned that I was traded to the Blue Jays, is that I'll be back with him, and he texted me immediately as well as soon as he found out, and it was really cool. It's kind of a surreal moment to see your teammate from high school from many years ago that I haven't really seen in a while, and to be in a professional uniform and to be kind of welcoming me into his team, I guess, in a
Mm-hmm.
sense, and kind of giving me the breakdown of how things go and stuff like that, and meeting me with his friends and all that. It was really cool. I was down there from the 4th to the 8th of December, and yeah, we just hung out, kind of laid back, got work done at the field, but it was really amazing to get to see him again. And we're still texting and talking about how excited we are for this year and potentially maybe be in the same team and play together again. That'd be really cool.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Speaking of getting to play again, that's not too far down the line here. So far during your young pro career, you've had a solid run so far. How happy are you, though, with your performance in the minors?
I would I'm not terribly uh pleased, I guess, with how things have been going for me so far. Let me say this way. I'm very excited to be playing minor league baseball. I'm very grateful whenever I get to step out on the field. Um, those are some of the funnest years I've had playing baseball, is playing minor league baseball. I think it's great. With my performance, though, I think I definitely could do a little better, which I've been definitely working on. And I guess anybody could always do better, and I'm kind of hard on myself in that sense. I a little bit of a perfectionist when it comes to my performance, but I definitely would like to um, stay maybe on the field a little bit longer than I have been. And that has been one of my main priorities, and I guess one of my main setbacks as well. So I've been working on that, getting my body right, making sure that my body has the capabilities to handle a full season, which I think the Blue Jays are doing a great job in helping me achieve that. And the program that I've been given and the details in that program are really awesome, and something that I think will really prepare me for the next couple of months of season. So I'm very excited about that. I feel good about it. And obviously you can always rack up more strikeouts and walk less people. That's never going to change.
Absolutely. When you think back on it, what's been the biggest learning curve you've had to overcome in getting yourself acclimated from high school into the pro game?
It would be the load of things in day to day. I mean, we would never have practice game in high school on the same day, and that's basically our every day in pro ball. And staying healthy, I think, has been potentially a challenge for me in the past, because I didn't really understand how much extra workload there is on a day to day, just me even shagging BP on the field. And then I would try to get better, and I'm always trying to get better. So I would go out and do some dry reps and maybe do some extra reps and do a hard workout so I keep my strength and stuff like that. But I didn't really maybe understand when I was younger that those things are more so hurting me at some points than helping me. That recovery is a good thing, and that um, taking pride in how well and quick I'm able to recover has been something that I've put way more emphasis on than, let's say, getting a lot bigger or stronger.
Hmm. Is there anybody that you've been leaning on for that kind of knowledge? Has it just been kind of coaching staffs, or have there been some of the older guys that have been able to kind of teach you along the way? Who have you been able to tap into the minds of to be able to maybe understand yourself a little bit more?
Yeah, it's definitely been a combination of the staff and the players and my friends and stuff like that. I have a couple of close friends that I bounce ideas off of that I really trust. Travis Kuhn was definitely one of them. When I was with the Mariners, I still talk to him and bounce ideas off of him. He's kind of like my big brother. He's been helping me kind of make that adjustment and be smarter about my workouts. I've been hearing it a lot from the training staff, but sometimes I maybe thought they didn't understand how much I can handle, and that I can do more than what they're telling me. But now, the more I got into pro ball, the more I started to realize that they're definitely right. So taking the staff's advice is definitely a good thing. So it's been kind of a mixture. I mean, my parents have also always been telling me since day one that my number one thing is health. Like, you got to be healthy. Like, that is going to be the only thing that is going to get in your way. And I didn't know how true it was, but it is definitely time for me to start more. It was definitely time for me to start paying closer attention to what I am doing in order to maintain my health. And since I started doing that, I've been feeling great.
Mm-hmm. From a mechanic standpoint, what do you think you need to do to take that next step? Is there a certain pitch that you want to add to your arsenal? Is there a command thing that you want to get hammered down? What is it that you think is going to help you get that next level?
Yeah, I think it's actually, for me, it would probably be trying to stay away from mechanics. I've been mechanics oriented my whole life, and I've been really taking pride in having really good mechanics and always perfecting them and changing them. And I think part of having good mechanics is be able to stick with them and do the same thing over and over, so you get really familiar with your body and what it does. So my goal for this off season is just to kind of feel what's natural, instead of always looking for external cues and doing something like that. I've been started to be a big believer in just whatever I've put my body through, the different positions and different motions, that it's going to figure out what it needs to do. And I do think that the body knows best. And I think trying to get my brain into it all the time is not the best thing. But I think once I do that, my goals of increasing command, which I think for me at times is more mental than physical, I think that will fall right into place. And yeah, I just want to continue getting stronger and throw hard again. I mean, not that I haven't been throwing extremely hard, that I've been happy with, that I haven't been happy with how I've been doing, but um, there is a particular season when I was in low A that I was throwing quite a bit harder. So I think I'm in a really good space to get back to that and add command on top of it. And I think if those two things align together, I think there's a lot of good opportunities for me.
Looking into this season particularly, do you have any expectations of yourself? Do you know where you want to be as far as a level, or do you have an expectation of where you want to be from a pitching, command, everything else perspective? What do you expect out of yourself heading into 2023?
Right. Yeah, that's a good question. I've been really trying to make sure that I'm controlling the things that I can control and not really setting my value on external things that I can't really control. One of the things I can't control is where I am going to be and what level and stuff like that. But what my goals are is just to be able to prove to myself and to the Blue Jays that I am starting to get to a point where I'm capable in pitching in the big leagues. And I think I got to prove that to myself more than anybody else, because that's obviously been a dream of mine since I was very, very young. And I think now that I'm getting a little bit closer to that, I want to make sure for myself that I feel that I'm ready. And whether I'm doing that in high A or if I'm doing that in double A or wherever I would be doing that, I don't think that would really change about how I would feel about my performances and about how I would do. So just kind of keeping a high expectation for myself, in terms of being able to fill up the strike zone and just compete with the guys. And when I do that, a lot of things fall into place. So
What have the Jays told you about maybe what your role is to be expected, or have they outlined that yet because they still haven't seen you in a full spring training together?
yeah, I think it will take a full spring training for them to be able to evaluate me in any sort of way like that, to try to predict where my role would be and where I'm going to start and stuff like that. I haven't really talked too much about that. I've only been down there with them for 4 days, and it was more so about the physicals and getting an idea where my body is at and what I need to work on for the off season. So we're staying in the present. We're just working away at things that wouldn't change no matter where I'm at, which is how strong, how flexible, how healthy I'm able to be, and how prepared can I be with my arm and my body for the spring training. So we're doing that to the best abilities, and then I think once we get to spring training and some more evaluations start and we get into games, I think that's when they'll maybe sit me down and talk to me more about that.
When you look at that roster and you look at that starting rotation they have, and obviously a lot of attention around Alek Manoah and what he's been able to do in his young career to this point, when you head down to spring training, how much of a sponge do you hope to be, and kind of tap into the mindset of not just some of the veterans there, but some of those younger hurlers who are starting to make some noise for that organization?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm always trying to be a sponge and soak anything in that I can, and having those young stars on the Blue Jays that have been successful since they basically got on the scene is something that I also strive to do. So I'm definitely going to try to pick their brain as often as they'll let me. I know that we don't often line up with the same schedules and stuff like that, but maybe if we're hot tub or cold tubbing, I'll see them across the pool and maybe talk to them a little bit, pick their brains potentially. If I ever get a chance to, I guess, play catch with them or do something like that, I would always be very excited to do that. It's always appreciated when I get those opportunities and get to pick their brains and just kind of talk to them, see what their mindset is, where their bodies are at, I guess for me, the biggest questions would be what they're able to do to stay consistent the way they have been and healthy. And it's definitely a different animal when you're also playing in the big leagues, with the travel and the time changes and stuff like that. So they go through it for sure. It's not always easy and all butterflies. So I definitely want to learn from them as much as possible. So if I do get there someday, I can hit the ground running.
Another thing I'm curious about, we've talked a lot about the physical side. When it comes to the mental side, there's clearly going to be a little added microscope, I suppose you could say, on you and on Eric for being the two pieces that were traded to the Jays for Teoscar. Do you drown out that noise? Because there's going to be, everybody knows the Toronto media market landscape can be quite ruthless sometimes. So do you try to tune that out? Do you embrace it a little bit because you like the pressure? How are you going to handle sort of that external, I don't want to call it validation, but that external feedback that you're invariably going to be getting?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, with any move that happens on social media, there's going to be positives and negatives that come to it. Some of the negatives um, could potentially be, I guess, that some people may not really know who I am and think what kind of trade that was and stuff like that. I don't pay too much attention to it. I don't really go on social media and look for any posts or anything like that. I try to keep my life as simple as possible. And if there is something that I come across, I just kind of laugh it off. And it is, I guess you could call a little bit of fuel. Like they don't really know me yet, but just wait until you get to know me kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I definitely, I don't take anything to heart, whether it's positive or negative that comes from social media. I think if I did, um, it would kind of be a whirlwind of emotions more so than it really needs to be. So I appreciate that I've got tons of support from the social media aspect, and people that don't really know me at all are wishing me the best, and that they're very excited for me to be a Blue Jay, and I really appreciate that. And I always appreciate the doubts and the questions about what it will entail of me being a Blue Jay. So I try to take the best out of both scenarios and just run with it.
Mm-hmm. Now, there was some talk at one point about you potentially joining Team Canada at the World Baseball Classic. Is that something you've heard anything about? Did you hear from Canada at all? And is that something you'd like to maybe do? Maybe not this time around, but next time around?
That is definitely something that I would love to do. I've been always wanting to play for Team Canada since we got here, and I wasn't always able to do that because of my passport and citizenship issues. Not issues, but I'm a Slovakian citizen still, so I can't really represent Canada in that sense. But I think that door has opened up slightly with the regulations and what it takes to be able to represent Canada in the World Baseball Classic. I think I definitely have the option to. I've spoke very briefly to Greg Hamilton about some details, and he asked me if I would be interested in doing it, if he can put me in the mix of guys that they're thinking about. And I definitely told him that I want to do that. So I'm in the mix right now, and I'm just waiting to hear from them.
Very cool. What would it mean to you to be able to wear a maple leaf on your jersey or on your hat?
It would be extraordinary for me. It was always a dream of my parents to move to Canada, and I'm so proud of them on being able to accomplish that and do it, and grateful for them because they gave me this opportunity. And Canada's given me the opportunity to play where I'm at right now, and it would be a lot harder for me to do that from Slovakia. So I'm very grateful to this country. I'm very grateful for the people that I met in this country, and I think representing it would be an honor.
For sure. When you look back on the young career to this point, specifically after or since the last time you and I chatted, when you think about the pro journey thus far, you mentioned some good memories so far. What's been some of your favorite times so far as a pro?
To be honest with you, a lot of those times come in the bullpen and just chatting with the guys and having fun and cheering on our teammates, or on the off days when we just go out and have fun. And it's always there's always going to be great moments of satisfaction when I'm playing baseball and I achieve something and I throw a really good game, and those things will always be there. But the people that I hang out with in the game and outside the game, unfortunately, they are always going to change with trades and moves up and down in the system and stuff like that. So I try to cherish and hold on to those memories as long as I can. So it would definitely be just going tubing down a river with a couple of my friends on an off day, or just doing stuff like that.
A couple more questions for you here, Adam, and then we'll let you go. First off, let's say you head back to Vauxhall. You get to talk to some of those kids who are just starting out in their journeys at the academy there or elsewhere in Alberta. What words of advice or wisdom would you like to impart upon them to maybe get them to the point, especially if they're looking at you saying, hey, I want to become the next Adam Mako?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, I definitely would like to go back there. And if I can give them any sort of advice, I guess I can only give it to them through the lens of what I've experienced. And I think what I think they may be experiencing right now. And I think the biggest difference that I see from being in high school to being in pro ball and hanging around some big league guys is it's not really about what you're doing it's about how much attention you're paying while you're doing it. And it's the little attention to detail that even when you're doing your workouts, you can do a set of bench many different ways, and you can do it with many different intentions. And I think being aware that what you're looking for is already within you, and all you have to do is just really pay close attention to everything that you're doing and take pride in the quality of work that you're doing, not the quantity. Because in the past, for me, I guess it's been always how much more can I do than somebody else so that I can be better than them. But it's really about how particular and how much of a routine and how much of a routine you can be in and day out and stay the same person no matter what.
Mm-hmm. Final question for you here. I can't believe I haven't asked you this, but the last time you were here, it wasn't part of my regular routine for asking. So here we go. What does the game of baseball mean to you?
Wow. That is that's a good question. I mean, it's baseball is my life. I mean, I've got some education, and I got high school education, but working on my college as well. But I think if I didn't have baseball, I asked myself this question a lot, and if I didn't have baseball, I really don't know what I would be doing. And I know that is something that I will address further down in my life. But Baseball is definitely everything to me right now. Everything in my life is surrounded around baseball. Where I'm going to live, what I'm going to do, like for my job, is also baseball. So it's definitely been a lot to me, and it's helped me through some times. Like we did some moving around with my family, and baseball has always just been sort of a constant. Wherever I went, I was able to play baseball and express myself through the sport. And so it really, I've been leaning on it quite a bit for comfort. I've been leaning on it for competition. I've been leaning on it for everything in my life. So yeah, it's a really heavy question for me because it really is everything to me.
Well, it's a great answer, regardless of how heavy it is, and always love being able to catch up with you. I'm really glad that we were able to do this. Congratulations on all the success you've had to this point. Continued success going forward, albeit in a bit of a different role now, but looking forward to seeing what's next for you. Thanks so much for joining us again here on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a blast.
We last chatted with Damiano Palmaggiani on episode 126 during an impressive final season at College of Southern Nevada, which helped him get drafted by the Blue Jays. He split last season between the single A Dunedin Blue Jays and high A Vancouver Canadians, amassing a .239 average with 24 home runs and 83 runs batted in, on his way to being named the organizational third baseman of the year. Damiano, welcome back to the podcast. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Happy to be here and happy to be talking again.
Let's first off talk about recognition that you received in the offseason here, organizational third baseman of the year. What did that mean to you?
It was awesome. Recognition that I didn't really know we even did that until I saw it, and I think it feels really good because it really is a long season. First full season is way more games than I've played before, even college included. There's a lot of ups and downs. It's a really good learning experience because the end result is all sunshine and rainbows, and I'm getting good recognition. But in the middle, there's ups, there's downs, there's times where you're doubting yourself. There's times where you're working on stuff. And I always said that it was going to be a heck of a story at the end of the year, even at my worst moments. And to have it all come together in that way is something that's, made me really happy and made me look forward to what's next now.
Were you surprised at all by getting that recognition?
We have a lot of, extremely talented and really good players who had awesome years. I know I had a really good year that I'm personally really proud of, that stacks up well. So, I mean, as far as what I expected, what I didn't expect, I didn't look into it. I necessarily don't care too much about it, but I am glad that there was recognition after a good season because I did work really hard. But there's a lot of great guys around me that are pushing me every day and I'm pushing them. So at the end of the day, a lot of credit goes to them. So, this is more about the organization and all that rather than just me alone.
Mm-hmm. When you look back at that 2022, are you happy with how things played out? Were there things that you wanted to work on? Walk us through your mindset as you look back on the year that you had.
Yeah. Like I said, super positive year, a lot of great things. But what I find myself saying since the moment the year ended is that there was a lot of great things to build on, a lot of things that I'm proud of getting better at, doing well, and showing. But there's a lot of stuff to work on too. It wasn't a slam dunk, everything fell in the right place. There was a lot of great stuff that I learned about myself through whether it be failure or just common experience. A lot of stuff I learned and noted down about myself. So it was perfect going into the off season, seeing, all right, I got some stuff to build on and some stuff to work on. Cause I felt like there's a lot more in the tank and I really was just kind of scratching the surface. So we're trying to iron everything out.
When you look back on it, you mentioned that there were some things that you learned about yourself. What was it that you found you've learned about yourself during the process of the year?
Yep. Yeah. Like I'll go back to it. It's a long season. And I knew it, but I didn't really comprehend it when we first got going. And so I got really hot early, but then I got really, really cold for about a 2-week span. And just to start the season. And, and me, myself, I expect a lot out of myself. So I was taking it pretty hard. I was getting a little down on myself. But I really, really gave into the trust that what I'm doing and the way I examine myself is correct. And the input I get from my coaches is correct. So just trusting that all the negatives and stuff is balanced with all the good, and it will come to an end, and it's a long season and things can turn around in a heartbeat. Just recognizing that, I learned that about myself. So going into the off season now, I do expect a lot out of myself, but I understand the process of it and how to just kind of bounce back from tough days. I think more than I ever have before. So I'm grateful I figured that out, and I'd say that's one of the main things I learned.
When you look at your stats line, 239, 24 homers, 83 RBIs, some great power numbers. I assume one of the things, and I've read a little bit about some of the things that you've talked about in the past, it sounds as though consistency is a thing that you want to work on, getting the ball, using it to all fields versus hitting for power all the time.
Yeah, exactly. Strictly offensively, I'm really proud of the way I controlled the strike zone. We look at a lot of things metrically with the Blue Jays, and one of the things I'm most proud of is that I put together a really, really solid season in what's called swing decision. So, essentially that just means taking balls and swinging at strikes, and there's a whole point system. So I was able to really control the zone well, and I'm really proud of the way I showed power, but also plate discipline. I had a good number of walks, and another thing we're working on is the ability to have a little more margin of error with my bat path, which will allow me to still sneak some backside line drives or to still stay through some balls that maybe I would have popped up this year. So, to get that average up as high as kind of the on base was last year. So yeah, that's one of the things that I look at to build on and to work on, like I said before. So that's what I'm really proud of myself. And I'd say what makes me a good hitter is the ability to control the zone.
You mentioned it earlier. You got to play a full season worth of games, 118 between the two levels. How much of a learning curve was that to go from, hey, I'm going to play 3 times a week at college, maybe a couple of times a week, to now to being essentially an everyday player? Like, you almost put in a full 162.
Yeah, it's something you got to be really disciplined with. You got to understand that it is a marathon, not a sprint. So you do want to be very, aggressive in the way you prepare and the way you perform, and you want to leave it all on the field, of course, but you do need to recognize that you're going to be needed months in advance as well. So when the game is done, you can't just pack up and leave, right? You got to tend to the whatever sore muscles, you got to do whatever pregame or postgame routines get your muscles going. I know my specific areas that I target and get in the training room every now and then to maintain. So yeah, like I said, it's a marathon, not a sprint. So you got to treat it as such, and forever your ability to be available and play will carry as your best ability throughout your career. So that's something that I take very, very seriously, and I'm grateful that that things have gone well so far.
Where do you get that mindset from? Is that something that you've picked up as you've turned your career into a pro career, or is that something, are you leaning on anybody in particular, or is it something that you've just kind of built upon as your career has gone on?
I think it's just building upon it as I go. I mean, ever since I was young and say like in Vauxhall Academy the first year of my career and all the way through, like I've kind of just learned from the guys around me. I try to pick something up from everyone. If I see something that I like that will make me better out of someone. Like I take that with me. If I see something that maybe I want to stay away from, I'll take that with me. And just learning from the guys around me. A lot of guys I look up to throughout the years, whether it was back then or even now. Just picking up from guys around me, and I like to really assess kind of what I'm intaking and the information I'm processing and all that to see what can make me the best player and teammate, you know.
Mm-hmm. You spent half the year in Dunedin, and then you basically head back home. You get to spend half the year with Vancouver Canadians. What was that experience like, playing in your own backyard?
Yeah, it's one of those moments that I'll never forget. I definitely soaked it all in. It is, a step in the process, but for me, it was a major check off the box and really a dream come true. And, it's something that I was working towards. I knew it was right there within reach. And when I got that call, everything it just fell in place perfectly. And all the times I imagined running on and off the field at Nat Bailey Stadium when I was in high school, all the times I, pictured myself coming up to bat at Nat Bailey in front of my friends and family, it all came into fruition, and it's, it really is a special moment, and I'll take that with me, for the rest of my life.
Did you have that moment? I always look back on that Adley Rushman moment when he goes up and he kind of just looks around for a second right before he stands behind or sits behind the plate as a catcher. Did you have that moment as well at Nat Bailey where you just kind of had to take that moment to soak it all in?
I did. I had two specific moments. The first one was coming into my first few games were on the road. So I'd played, I think it was 4 games in Portland, and then we drove all the way back to Vancouver, got into the field the next Tuesday, straight to the clubhouse, got all set up. Then I took the tunnel out to get onto the field before anyone was there just to see it. And I walked out, and I saw the stadium. It's been a while since I've seen it. And just to be on the field, look around and just see it's my new home. That was the first moment. I was by myself. I got some goosebumps. And then the big one was when the game started, they announced the lineups. We ran on the field individually, and then we lined up for the national anthem. And hearing people sing "Oh Canada," looking out into the center field wall, that's when I definitely felt that all the emotions kind of sink in, and I definitely got goosebumps, and yeah, that's a moment that I'll carry with me as well.
When you get the goosies like that, does anybody come to mind in that moment? Is it just the journey that you've been down? Are you thinking of anybody in particular? Walk us through what you're thinking in that particular, in those specific moments.
Yeah. Like I said, there's so many people. Obviously, the first immediate ones are my parents in the crowd. I know they're watching. I can't imagine what they were feeling. But just my whole journey, I guess, flashes in my head from from Cloverdale in BC to Alberta in Vauxhall, all the coaches, all my teammates. Just kind of I think a lot of just like how quickly the journey gets to one of these special moments, and like I said, it's just a step in the process and in the ultimate journey, but it's one of those where it's like I'm not gonna overlook this moment.
You segued really well into my next question, which was about sort of the next step. I know it feels like we've talked a lot about, hey, the journey's over, but nah, it's far from. Walk us through what you've been working on in the off season to get yourself ready to go for spring training.
Yep. Like I said, offensively, I want to create more margin for error. I like my bat pass. I think it gives me a lot of success. But I think I can be more consistent with it, trust it a little more, which will allow either the chopped ground balls or the flared fly balls to decrease those and turn those into still well hit balls. And I can increase what's called my batting average on balls in play. That being said, I'm looking to control the zone more than I did last year, working a lot on vision stuff, really training in very difficult environments as early as I can, just to make spring training feel comfortable. And defensively, you know, just taking care of my body so that I can move quicker, move faster, be lighter on my feet, which will allow my hands to work better and keep my arms strong. So all these things, I guess, summed up, just kind of help put me in a healthy and consistent position to perform as best as I can in spring training.
You actually segued into another question that I had as well, and that was the defensive side of the ball. I know you've played first and third so far. Do you have a preference, one, and two, do you have an expected spot where you're going to be playing as you move up the ladder?
Yeah, I mean, I've been playing third base for so long that it's so much fun to me. I love being there. I think it's just because I'm so comfortable there now too. So I would say like that's if I had to choose, that would be my preferred spot. However, I've picked up first base. I have a lot of fun with it. I do love playing over there as well. And I'm getting a lot better at it. I really like the work that the Blue Jays staff and player development does to prepare me. And moving forward, I mean, I'm still taking the majority of my reps at third base. When I come down to camps and spring training, it's mostly third base. But something that I take a lot of pride in is the ability to be a utility guy if needed. I want to be able to play just as good at first base as third base. And then, down the line, who knows, they ask me to go to corner outfield, who knows, like I do want to keep my body ready in a way where I can jump in wherever they need me and perform.
Mm-hmm. Do you have an idea as to where you're going to be starting this season? Do you have an expectation or maybe a goal, or do you have sort of a mindset of where you'd like to be as you start the campaign?
Yeah, you can go into looking at ifs and what ifs and what could happen and all that. But, that's not really my say. All I can really control is I'm doing all I can to prepare myself to be the best player I can be next year and to build off of the good and work on the stuff that maybe I needed to. So when I get into spring training, I just show the best version of myself. And then, from there, I mean, I don't necessarily have a say other than my performance. So, I don't have any specific expectations. I obviously have hopes, but ultimately, if I'm ready to go and I show up and I do as best I can, then whatever happens, I'm definitely okay with.
Mm-hmm. You look at some of the moves that this team has made, the big team anyways, with the Toronto Blue Jays. How excited are you about not just the Blue Jays themselves, but every level that you're going to be moving up? Because this is such a young squad from top to bottom. There's really some excitement around this organization, isn't there?
Yes. And I may be biased, but I do think top to bottom it's ran in all the best ways, from the big league staff to the player development staff to everybody they hire to interact with us minor leaguers and all the resources they put together. It's a special program it's a special organization. And it's no surprise to me how much success they're coming into. And I strongly believe it's for years and years to come. Even down the line when some of the younger guys in the big league squad maybe are a little older, maybe move on, who knows? There's a tradition that is instilled in us that's just going to keep coming up over and over again. So, from someone looking from the inside, I think Blue Jays fans, there's a lot to be excited about, and there's a lot to be proud of as a fan of the organization and as a player in the organization too.
As a player in the organization, how excited were you to see an old friend join the organization in Adam Macko?
Yeah, it was a cool moment. Because he spends most of his off season in British Columbia, we have been seeing each other since he was a rookie with the Mariners and I was still in school. So we see each other, talk to each other a bunch. And when I got into the Jays, we would make, jokes like, oh, what if one of us gets traded and we play together? That'd be sick. Right. And then, so one day I woke up and I saw the news and and it's big news in like Blue Jays land, right? Like it's a big trade and all that. But selfishly myself, thinking of, playing with Adam again, like that was awesome. I texted him right away. I knew I would be part of the flood of texts he was probably getting, but and I already got to see him here in Florida. We've been talking and I hope he's comfortable. He definitely is, everybody here is definitely excited to have him. So, it's so cool to see it, happening the way it is.
I'm sure there's been a few players who've said, tell us a little bit about this guy. What's he like? That kind of thing. If you had a few words of wisdom about Adam Mako from what you've gotten to know him as, what do you usually say to them?
Yeah, I could go on for a while. This is one of my closer buddies, but, I think, as a player, like you're getting a very calm, confident demeanor. I don't think I've ever seen him speed up when the game does. And he's a little soft spoken, but he leads by example. And if you start picking his brain, you'll realize just how much he knows about what he's doing and you realize where he gets that confidence from. So yeah, and as a person, there's there's not many like him. Like he's, super awesome dude. Hilarious guy. I love talking with him. A lot of our conversations, we end up just rolling on the floor laughing, but, I think everybody around him has already taken him in and he's definitely well liked already.
One of the things that always stood out to me, the first time I talked to him, I had kind of heard rumblings about his expectations for his career. And some guys are just happy to go pro. Some guys have that goal of making it to the majors. The first thing that he said when I said, what do you think your ceiling is? Hall of Fame. Not many guys say that. So is that something that you try to take along with you as well as, hey, if this guy is aiming for the stars, I might as well try to as well?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I love that he said that. Some guys, they have it inside of them, maybe not verbalize it a lot, but he's 100% right. And, I have my ceiling aspirations where I feel I'm able to do something crazy and something special. And deep inside, I know I can do it. And it's only a matter of time. So it's nice to hear someone say it and believe in it. And that's something I carry within myself as well.
When you think back on it, it's been a couple of years. You and I were talking off air about this since we last chatted, and you were in the middle of a monster season in college when we last chatted. And here we are now talking about your pro career and being a couple of years into it already. What's been the biggest learning curve or hurdle that you've had to overcome to make this dream a reality?
I would say just, balancing your values. I'd say, it's very easy once you get into pro ball and you're playing every day and it's your job and there's these expectations. It's very easy to let it consume you and lose a little bit of of who you are as a person and just kind of buy in fully to, I'm a baseball player. This is all I do. My worth is in how well I can, throw or hit a ball. And so there's times you can get lost in that, especially when you're playing every day. So I'd say one of the biggest learning curves that I didn't have to really worry about in school because it was, there's such a social atmosphere and you're not playing every day, is like finding time to still, be myself, do things I like to do. When I'm, when it's time to put the bat and glove down for the day, like put it down, let's not sit on a good day or a bad day and reach out to friends, talk to my family, watch movies, stuff like that, whatever I like to do. So, balancing these values and not losing who you are is really important.
Conversely, ask about the hurdles on the opposite side of it. Has it been everything you expected? Has there been some moments of levity, or what been some of the highlights that you've had so far in your young pro career?
Yeah, I'd say there's a lot of highlights. I show up to the field every day and I feel like every day is just exciting as the last for me. As a massive Blue Jays fan growing up, even back in the early 2000s and stuff like that, just kind of being a part of the organization and meeting all these legends, and then being on the same field as guys who I've seen playing since I was a kid, and being their teammate or their opponent and stuff like that is really cool. It's exactly what I expected it to be. But it's, I definitely, like I said, when I got to Vancouver, it's one of those moments. I'm not going to take it for granted. Like it's special and I soak it all up, but it's part of the process. And I'd say that's just being in the journey is the whole itself is a highlight for me.
Mm-hmm. As you look ahead to the next year, what excites you the most?
Just another year to get to do it again. There's nothing in specific that I'm circling other than just we're going to start and then we're going to play 140 times, and there's nothing else I'd rather be doing. So I'm looking forward to getting going already.
Mm-hmm. A couple more for you here. When you think back on the journey to this point, what are you most proud of? Because there's been a few ebbs and flows and things that you've kind of had to overcome and things that you've succeeded at, obviously. But what are you most proud of as you've gone about your journey?
I would say it's just my work ethic. I think it was instilled into me from when I first started playing in high school. And, like you said, there's some bad times, there's some good times. It hasn't all been great, but I always had like this confidence in me that I know I can be special and I know I can, achieve my dreams and all that. And I never gave up or put the bat down or stepped away from the weight room. I just kind of kept going at it, almost like therapeutically, and just to see things unfolding, because of kind of the way I do things. It's special to me. I think that's what I'm most proud of myself for doing so. And I think that's a part of me that's just never going away. And yeah, I mean, whether good or bad is up ahead, I know who I'm going to be, and I know that I'm going to be able to take control of my career. So that's what I'm most proud of.
Very cool. Final question for you. I asked the question about what baseball means to you the last time around, so I'm going to rephrase it in a different way. What's it mean to you to be a Canadian making your way into the pro world and doing what you've been able to do so far?
Yeah, I'm very prideful of it, and I'm just very, proud to be one of the few Canadians in the mix. I'm playing for my career. I'm, trying to make it to the big leagues, but at the same time, there's that surrounding sense of what I represent that really keeps me going. It's all the kids that maybe look at me, maybe they're from my area, maybe they're not, but they look at me and they think that they can be me one day. And same way I looked at, guys when I was that age and thought I could be that guy one day. So as much as it is for myself to achieve this dream, that next wave of Canadians who, guys like me and Mako and all the other Canadians can inspire, that's really special. And I feel that, every day, especially, seeing the support the Blue Jays get and seeing the support the Canadians get, that's something to me that is important, and I'm very, very proud to be able to be one of the guys to do so.
Well, as always, a great pleasure to be able to catch up with you and talk a little bit. We've texted quite a bit over the last few years, but we haven't had a chance to actually put something to tape yet. So always glad to be able to do it again. Damiano, congratulations on all the success you had last year and throughout your entire baseball journey. Continued success as you move your way up the ladder. And thanks again for joining us here on the podcast.
Thank you for having me. Glad we could get to talk again.
Thanks again to both Adam Mako and Damiano Palmiciani for joining us this week, and thanks to all of you for downloading and listening. If you haven't already, leave us a rating and review on your podcast app, as those actions help spread the word about us. We'd also like to tip our caps to our amazing Platinum supporters for all they do for us and for baseball in Alberta. The generosity shown by the Okotoks Dogs and AHP Academy help us cover costs and tell the stories of baseball in our province. Head to albertadugoutstories.com/supporters to learn more and to contact us for sponsorships. Until next time, thank you for all your support online, on social, and on air of Alberta Dugout Stories.